tonight, you want to think of me more as the warm-up, because there's so many good readers here, so many good poets, so it's going to be a good open mic session. I'm going to start off with this poem. There's a site online, I don't know if all of you have got computers, called Book Crossing. And the idea of the site is that people who've read a book they've enjoyed can leave it in a public place, airport lounge, on a train, park bench, for someone else to enjoy. And that other person might want to leave it somewhere else, for somebody else to enjoy. It's a sort of cyclical thing. One of my poems was found in the female toilet in Asda in Leytonstone. Quite proud of that, actually. It wasn't on its own, it was included in an anthology. It was actually this book, Love from Wales. So it was a love poem, and the woman who found its name was Mama Lazarou. And I kind of had visions of her sitting in the toilet with this book on her lap and reading my poem, maybe reading it kind of over and over, you know. I fantasized that she would. And so much so that maybe a queue kind of built up at the door of the toilet. And I could imagine women maybe hammering on the door for her to hurry up and let them do what they had to do. But the name is so exotic, I kind of imagined she was maybe from the Caribbean somewhere, Haiti or Jamaica, and she would have been probably a very colourful figure. This is the poem she sat there, I assume, reading. What she did before I read it, she took it away with her. She took the book home and typed out my poem and posted it online on the Book Crossing site. You know? So this is the poem. It's called Marlene, Marlene, or Marlena if you prefer. When I first kissed you up against a wall in Westbury Street, you had a woolly pulley on. I had a hard. Lip smacked lip, tongue sucked tongue, and never said a word. The cat meowed, a light went out, and nothing ever stirred. There was no one around. There was nothing behind the blinds in Westbury Street, nor all the universe, but you and I, like little limpets struggling for breath. And I imagine as she read that last line, she probably reached for the chain. I gave it a quick tug. Right. Some of these poems are reminiscences of childhood. I do, at least one is, anyway. In the early 50s, I was a choir boy in St. Paul's Church in Sketty. I was only about 8 or 9, and one of the annual events that was popular at that time was the service of remembrance for the dead of 2 world wars. And the Second World War hadn't long been over. It was held in the Brangwyn Hall, and the Brangwyn Hall would be packed with ex-servicemen. It was a bit like a sort of friendly Nuremberg rally. Quite daunting for an 8-year-old. But this is my memory of those events. Remembrance Day in the early 50s. In my memory, the November night, interminably cold and squally, rain cloaking the town and its wreathed and wave-lapped cenotaph. But inside, the Brangwyn Hall, warm and bright and chock-a-block with veterans, flagged and bannered, ribboned and bemedalled, all ranged in regimental rows, facing the massed choirs on stage to honour the 6 million dead. Then, after an eternity of hymns and texts and tributes, the lights suddenly dim as the flags are lowered and the last post sounded. The silence as overhead comes a rustling, a fluttering swarm of petalry redness, whispering down on the bared heads, on the khaki and blue, the starched and spotless white of nurses and choir boys, on the wheelchairs and crutches, on the ranks of the living and the lost, but forever remembered legions of the dead. And in the 10th or 12th row back, on me, a fledgling chorister, hemmed in on all sides, desperately hopping from leg to leg, as the bishop of somewhere or other reads Binion's interminable poem for the fallen of 2 world wars, the glorious dead who would grow not old as they who were left, and I, who was only 9 or 10, and incontinent, and absolutely bursting for appeal, would also grow old.